So let us dive in. As you saw from my little intro there, I have finally decided to make it's probably going to be a series, 2 to 3 videos, but I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks for different types of lettering, like you saw in my little intro creation that I made. So different types of letterings, different tools that you can use, so like markers and pens and brush markers and all that good stuff. Then I'll have a video on brush lettering, and then a video kind of talking about like how to use these different styles in your planner. And yeah, so let's jump in here. So the first thing I want to talk about are the different types of lettering and kind of what I like to use in my planner. So types of lettering. So for the different types of lettering, as you saw in my little intro thing that I made, there's a lot of different ways that you can write in your planner. There's a lot of different things that I would consider lettering that are not brush lettering, right? So we can do italic script, like italic writing. So one trick for italic writing is I like to turn the page and then also kind of tilt my hand. So normally if I was writing, I would just write like this. But if I'm gonna do italic, I'm gonna turn my hand and write the letters how I normally would. And you can see how they're kind of italic, right? Because they're on that slant like we see with italic writing. Other things, you have your basics, your caps, like in all caps. Then you have obviously all lowercase. And then we have a couple different types that I really like to use. So I really like italic. I use caps a lot. And then also what I'm going to call block lettering, because I'm not really sure what else to call it. But this kind of lettering where you go through and you take one side of the letters, usually the left side of the letter, and you make it a little bit thicker, but it's not colored in. You could color it in as well. I usually don't do that, but you could either color it in or you can just have them open like this. I also like to just do, a basic cursive. So you have your basic cursive, and then you have obviously your brush writing. And there's a lot of forms of brush lettering, right? It kind of depends on what type of lettering you want to do. So the two that I usually do, so I have this like big kind of flourishing brush lettering. And I'll either do like a cursive S like this, or I'll do, a lot of times this is the kind of lettering that I do when I am lettering. And this is a Tombow Fudenosuke. This is the hard tip brush pen. I really like this pen. It's really good for beginners in my opinion. We'll get more into pens here in a moment. But you can do brush lettering like that, or you can do, instead of like with the flourishes, on all the letters, you can do kind of something like this. I would say that this one is a little bit more on the simple side, but you can also, blend those together. It just depends on what kind of letters you want to do. So those are the main types of lettering that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to save the brush lettering for its own video and really just focus on these types of letters today, but there are a bunch of different types of brush type lettering that you can do and a bunch of different tools that you can use as well. Okay, going into some tools that I really like. So I'm going to just make another header here. So some tools that I really like. I really love Crayola Super Tips. These are super cheap. You can get them in packs of like just an obscene amount of markers, but they're super cheap and they're good for a lot of different things. So you can use them for just adding a little pop of color to your spread if you're writing in your planner with these. I really enjoy them because, yeah, they're very cheap, but they're really, honestly, Crayola is good quality, right? Like, it's pigmented, they're nice, easy to use, and they're easy to obtain too, right? Like, you can get these at like Walgreens even. I mean, you can get them everywhere, right? So definitely recommend Crayola Super Tips. They're really nice, super cheap tool, easy to obtain, all that good stuff. Other things that I like for other markers that I like for adding color into my spreads. Mild liners, so Zebra mild liners. If you have not seen a mild liner, they have two sides to them. So they have this like highlighter side, it's called bold on here. And then they have a finer tipped side. And these are really great, honestly. You can use them for a lot of different things. You can use them to write. You can use them, obviously, to highlight. You can use them, I mean, there's just so many different ways that you can use them. So I could write, you know, I could highlight and then I could write. I can use them just to write themselves. I can use them for, I've seen people use them like Elise from Plan with Elise. She'll take her checklist stencil and draw her lines, and then to add a little bit of color, you know, she'll add in a little bit of color with a mild liner. You can use them just to do the lines. These are super versatile. So if you're looking for some good markers, I would definitely say that mild liners are great for that. Let's see, what else do we have? So we have Zebra Click Art pens. I really like these. Zebra has a lot of really good tools. I really enjoy their variety that they have. They also have mild liner brush markers. So they're like double-sided like this, and this side would be a brush marker, and then this side is a fine tip. So they have a lot of different tools. I like the Zebra Click Arts because they are, you know, it's like a clickable pen, but it has more of like a marker type tip to it, and they're very vibrant. The only thing that I have to say I'm not 100% a fan of is they do ghost a little bit. It kind of depends on the color and how hard you're writing, how fast you're writing, but they do have a little bit of ghosting that I've seen with them, so just something to keep in mind with those. The next thing, well, my Pigma Microns that I've been obsessed with recently. If you've watched any of my, like, After the Pens or really anything where I'm writing, I'm obsessed with these. They come in a lot of different sizes. They also, I think, have a brush marker as well. I think it's like a softer tip, but they come in, so we have a 01, a 03, a 05, a 08, a 10, and a 12. I think they might come in other sizes as well. This pack, I think I got it either off of Amazon or at Michael's. I'm not 100% sure. They are a little bit pricey, but they're very high quality, and they're so nice. And they have, like, these are a very wide range of sizes. So this is the 01, and then we go to a 03, maybe, here we go. So they get obviously thicker as the number gets bigger. And I just really like how pigmented they are. They're just really nice markers, honestly. One reason I like these better than like a oh my gosh, what is that called? A Papermate Flare, is because they don't smear as much. I've had way less problems with smearing with these Pigma Microns than I do with a Papermate Flare, for example. So let's go into that because I pulled one out here. So Papermate Flares are also really nice pens. They come in like a gajillion colors. They're very good for, again, adding some color into your spread. I really do like these. I just wish they didn't smear as much, you know, because smearing is my least favorite thing in my planner. But those are really good as well. Some cheaper options that I found, these Papermate Inkjoy gel pens are a little bit on the cheaper side. I haven't used these in a while, so they might struggle to actually write, but these are really good pens. This is a 07, but they're cheap. They have a nice grip on them though. They do write really well. It's just, you know, when a pen sits for a while, it doesn't always work as well, right? Like that's just how pens are, especially with a gel pen. Also, I really enjoy gel pens versus like a, what's the word? A ballpoint pen. So I do have like this pen, I think is, yeah, from Live Love Posh. So this is a ballpoint pen. It's not, you know, actually, I think this one is a gel pen. But it kind of feels like it. Yeah, this one might be a gel pen, actually. So let me find one. That one's actually really nice. Let me find, I have so many pens around here. It's actually a little bit ridiculous. But, oh, no, that's a gel pen too. I have a couple ballpoint pens somewhere. I don't know where they are right now. But personally, I like gel pens better because I feel like they're just nicer to write with. They write really smooth. They don't have as much skipping, I feel like, as a ballpoint pen does. I don't know. There's just something about a gel pen that just feels good to me. It just feels good. So, yeah, take that as you will. You don't have to obviously get those, but there are options. These are some really nice pens that I like for adding color into my planner. This is a Stabilo fine liner. They are really, honestly, they're really good quality in my opinion. They're super cheap. I'm pretty sure this pack that I got, which has like, I don't know, 15 colors in it maybe. It was not very expensive. It was like maybe 20 bucks, maybe. Like there were a lot of colors, not super expensive. Definitely recommend. If you're looking for a really fine tip, like brush style, like marker style pen, I think that's what I want to go with. These from Erin Condren are really nice. However, they're very expensive. So, you know, take that as you will. They're nice pens, but they're expensive. Pretty much all of Erin Condren's pens they're really nice and they're good quality. They're just, you know, they're pricey. So I would say if you're looking for a finer tip pen, to either go with the Micron, or if you're just okay with black, if you want colors, I would say the Stabilo fine liners. They're not as fine point as this, but I still think that they get the job done really well. Okay, brush markers. I'm going to wait on brush markers until I actually go over brush lettering. But so those are the main things that I use in my planner when I'm using these types of lettering. And then of course, just my basic black gel pen. This is a Pentel Energel Clenna in a 03. I also have, oh, I found a ballpoint pen. See how it just, I don't know, it's not as rich of a color payoff, in my opinion. Like it just doesn't look as good. So that's just me though. I know a lot of people do use ballpoint pens, but Personally, I like gel pens better. So I have this Pentel Energel Clenna in a 03. I also have some pens in 07. This is a Zebra Blend gel in 07. Personally, I like the really thin pens, but that's just me and how I like to write. So we'll do Pentel Energel Clenna. And then we have, this is a Zebra Blend gel. Oh, I meant to write what size that was. So that's a 07. This is a 03. I know I have some 05s around here, so let me find one. I thought I had everything out that I needed, but I was incorrect. So go figure. Isn't that how it always goes, I feel like? I think these are 05. Yes, so I have this Pilot G2. I really like these pens. These are really nice as well. So a Pilot G2. Yeah, and this is a 0.5. And then I also really like Tool pens. Again, these are a 07, I'm pretty sure. So they're a little bit thicker, but they are very nice pens as well. They're very juicy also. So one thing with, I feel like the thicker your gel pen is, obviously, the more ink that's going to come out, right? So the longer you're going to have to wait for them to dry before you can keep writing. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I like this thinner pen tip. It's because I feel like it has less likelihood of smearing because there's not as much ink coming out because it is so thin. That's just me though. Definitely use whatever size works best with your writing, with the spaces that you're writing in, all of that good stuff. So let's kind of go into a little bit of like, you know, tips, tricks, all that good stuff with some of these writings. So like I was saying earlier, let's start with the italic. I know I explained this a little bit when I started this video, but I just want to kind of explain it again. So when you write normal, you're just going to, you know, keep all the letters up and down and just write it, you know, however it is that you hold your hand. When I'm writing, a lot of times I will turn the page. It just is easier for me that way. And I will just write straight up and down on the lines. However, if I want them to be italic, that word sounds weird to me every time I say it. Whatever. If I want them to be italic, what I'm going to do is, so normally I would hold my pen like this to write in my normal writing. If I want to write in italic letters, I'm going to turn so that my wrist, so you can see my wrist here, it's lined up with the page for me to write straight up and down on these lines. To write in italic, I'm going to turn my wrist so that it's no longer straight in line with the bottom of the page. And I'm going to write normally, but because of the way that my wrist is, all the letters are going to have a slight slant to them. So again, we'd normally write like this. So I'm going to turn my wrist and I'm going to write normally, but because my wrist is on that angle, my letters are going to have an angle. So if you see, maybe this is something that you're struggling with just with your normal writing, you're like, why are all my letters always so sideways and crooked? It could really just be how you're holding your pen in relationship to the paper. Now, I'm not a handwriting expert. I don't know that for sure. But for me, that's one thing I've noticed is if my hand is not in the exact spot that I want it, then my letters are not going to show up exactly how I want them. Like for these, I was definitely writing a little bit on an angle, and I can tell because they have a slight twist to them. That's pretty normal for my writing, is to have that slight twist to it, but usually they're more up and down compared to this italic type of writing. The next thing is, I know this is kind of basic, but I feel like it's a good one to go over as well. Using capital letters can really change the way that your lettering looks. So if I just write, you know, so here I have normal. So I want to write that in all caps. I feel like that word looks completely different from that one. You know, it's something that just gives your writing a little bit of extra. I also think when you're writing in all caps, a couple things to keep in mind. You want your letters to be, if you're trying, you know, there are different types of writing. So you could do, you know, if you wanted to do all caps, all capital letters, but you still wanted it to look like a normal writing, you could do this, where the first letter is bigger, but the rest of the letters are all capital. Personally, I like to write this way if I'm writing in all caps, where all of the letters are the same size. I also think when it comes to a capital M, I know this is so silly, but when it comes to a capital M, I feel like having the middle go all the way down to the same points as where the letter ends makes it look a lot cleaner. It makes it look a little bit more, what's the word? Symmetrical. It makes your lettering just look very clean, in my opinion. That's definitely one thing that I like about writing in all caps. I just think it looks very nice. The next thing would be doing all lowercase. So this was probably not the pen to choose for this, but that's okay. So we can do all lowercase. One thing that I have found with my writing is that if I'm doing all lowercase letters, it is harder for the letters to turn out clean looking. Like we can see here that this like went way below the line and it just looks a little rushed. And there's a couple reasons that I think for that. One, we're used to writing with lowercase letters, right? Because that's normal writing for how we're taught in school. And we can get a little quick with it because it's just how our normal writing is. That's just how we write. It's what we're going for. It's just the quick, simple writing. So if you notice that when you're writing with lowercase letters, your writing is not as neat and clean and good as you would like it. This is a big tip, honestly, in my opinion, for any type of writing. Slow down. But don't go so slow that you overthink it. So if I was just going to write this, I'm not going to use this pen because I don't think it's going to show it as well. But if I were just to write like in my normal writing, right? So that's how my writing normally looks. It's not on the line. It's not very nice looking. It's just kind of all over the place. That's pretty normal for my writing. But if I take my time, I slow down, and I think about the letters, but not overthink them, I just think about keeping them in that space, my writing is going to be a lot cleaner. I overthought that letter, which is why it did not turn out exactly how I wanted. But you can see, I feel like when I write in lowercase, my letters just don't look as clean all the time because that's how I'm used to writing. However, if I take my time, they're going to look nicer. So I would say personally, all of those people that you see like on Instagram or YouTube or whatever who have such perfect writing, they're probably not writing at their normal pace that they would write if they were just like writing something out. But they, you know, a lot of us, we want our planners to be pretty, right? We want things that we put out to look nice and be legible and all of that good stuff. So I would say that those are going to be, like, that's going to be the easiest way to make everything look clean, is to just go slower. So let's do, we're not going to write it with that because it's not working. Let's do hot tip. I really want to use this green. Can you tell? Go slow. Go slow. That is my biggest tip to you. But don't go, you know, so slow that you overthink it and then everything looks weird. I also think that writing in caps, like when you write in all caps like this, I feel like it helps you to slow down because you're not used to writing all capital letters right in a row. Unless, of course, you write like that, because I do know that there are people like my dad, he writes in all caps all the time. So I do know that there are people who do that, but I would say going slow is the biggest thing. I would also say that that plays a lot into the block lettering. Going slow is the biggest thing with that kind of lettering. So if I want to write with this block lettering, it's going to look better if I take my time, because I can make sure that it's all a little bit more even than if I go quickly. I don't even know if I can do this quickly because I can, and it does not look as nice as that. I especially think with the letter O and the letter C and the letter S, which is unfortunate because that's what my name starts with. But with those letters, I feel like if you go slower, they're going to look nicer than if you try to write them really quick. Like even here you can see, I'm not sure if you can see it 100%, but this O has like a little tail on it because I was writing really fast. But the rest of them do not have those little tails because I was writing slower. You could also do this block lettering with lowercase letters. I think it looks nice with either capitals or lowercase letters. It just kind of depends on what you're going for in that look. I think that having different styles of lettering makes your planner look more interesting if that's what you're going for. Even if you're just using black. Like I have started to just use black in my planner, but I'm still using all of the different types of lettering that I know to try to make it look more interesting for myself. I know as someone with ADHD, it's definitely like the more interesting it is to look at, the more diversity there is in what I'm writing, the more I'm going to want to keep looking at it. So I think even if you're just using black, changing it up is, it just keeps things interesting, right? So we're going to put, let's see, hot tip number 1, go slow. Hot tip number 2, keep it interesting. Keep it interesting. And I'm going to also say, and try new things. I would say that those are 2 of the biggest things with lettering. Go slow, keep it interesting, and try new things. And my biggest tip to you, this is literally like the biggest one, so we're going to write it with this 12 here. These are like the 2 biggest ones. Practice and be patient and kind. So going slow, keep it interesting, and try new things. Practice. Practice, even if that just means like trying something different in your planner for the week. Give it a go. Like, try it out. Or if that's just, you know, you have some free time during your day, you want to do something, but, you know, you don't know what to do. Practice. Just try different types of writing. Try it out. Try different kinds of pens. You know, I'm sure that we all have a million pens that we aren't using, but totally could be, because we're just not sure how to use them. And I would say that those are the biggest things. Like, just practice, 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 and be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself. The first time you try a new style of lettering, it's probably not going to look great. Like, the first time I tried this italic thing, it was impossible. It was so hard. I was struggling. I could not make it work. And I didn't know like what to do to make it better. I just couldn't figure it out. Like, why can't I make this work? The people I had seen do it made it look like it was so simple. So I was really like annoyed with myself. And then I realized, like, you know, I just have to keep practicing this. I just need to take a deep breath, give myself some grace, be patient and kind to myself, and just know that I'm gonna get it, but I just have to keep trying. So those definitely are like the two biggest tips. So I know that was a lot of like rambling, me kind of just writing things down, but oh, I guess I forgot cursive. Oh goodness. Okay, let's go to that really quick. My bad. So cursive lettering, I would say the biggest thing for me that's difference between cursive and brush is what kind of pen I'm using, obviously. I would say that they're both all of these, in my opinion, are a lettering style, right? Because it's not just like your normal writing. The only one I could say that is maybe not like lettering would be just writing like in lowercase or writing how we normally do. That one, maybe that's not lettering, but it gives you options. With cursive versus brush, it comes down to what kind of pen you're using. So if I'm using a brush pen, it's obviously going to be a brush lettering. If I'm using just a pen and I'm writing, I can do a couple different things. So I can do like a normal cursive lettering. I can go into kind of like how I would write with a brush marker or a brush pen, but just do it with this pen instead. So adding the flourishes that I would if I was using a brush marker, those kinds of things. I would say that to me is like the biggest difference. I would say also another thing with like the cursive writing is I think that sometimes, so let me think of a word. This is the hard part. I don't know any words. So like, for instance, this is a tool pen. So I can write it like this and get tool. I could write it like this. That's a really not cute L, but I was going too fast. So there's a couple different like types of lettering that you can do with, I would say that a lot of this, you can do all of this with a brush pen, but it's also going to look super different if you just are using a normal pen. So I feel like it's interesting to try out and just be like, okay, so, you know, I want to put something in here. I want it to look, you know, fancier, but I don't really have room for using a brush pen, or I don't have a brush pen, or I don't really want to deal with going as, you know, slow or whatever as I need to with a brush pen. I say like one of my favorite ways to write in my planner is just to use like a cursive lettering with a normal type pen. I think it looks very nice. I think it's interesting. Again, go slow, because as we can see here, I got way too fast and it doesn't look very pretty. That one looks way better. So it all comes down to, in my opinion, I would say keeping things interesting with your writing in your planner. It all comes down to using different types of pens and markers. So you have different thicknesses, you have different looks to the pens, you have different writing styles. I feel like there's a bunch of ways to keep things interesting in your planner and to have your planner look pretty, and even to write on like if you were making a card for someone. Like I have definitely gone through and I've used like this type of writing to make a card, or I've just written in cursive, or I've written like in all caps, and then also done a brush lettering. But you don't have to do a brush lettering in order to make something look pretty. Just try changing it up. Try making things more interesting. Okay, I don't know if any of that made sense. I hope that it did, and I'm going to stop this video now. But my wrap up here for you with your different types and your different tools. Types of lettering, keep things fun, go slow when you're practicing, keep it interesting, and don't be afraid to try new things. Whether that be a different type of lettering, whether that be a different tool, a different marker, a different pen, a different thickness, just try things out. Keep it interesting for yourself, because I think that it's more fun when we're using like different types of things and just trying new things out. Practice, practice, practice. Practice is your friend, no matter what kind of lettering you're trying to do. So even if you're just trying to do something like an italic or a block lettering like this, or even just writing in cursive, practice is your friend. Just like when you first learned how to write, you had to practice in order to figure it out. And here we are, we're back to practicing. And then last but not least, the most important, honestly, in my opinion, besides going slow and practicing, I would definitely say that be patient with yourself and be kind with yourself, because it's not the end of the world if it doesn't look perfect, right? Like, it's all about trying new things and doing something that's fun. So don't be hard on yourself if it doesn't look great the first time. It's not going to. That's just not how it works. Like, you have to attempt things multiple times, just like with any other thing that we are trying to learn in our lives. You have to be patient and kind to yourself while trying to learn. Okay, I think that's gonna be all for me in this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please let me know down below if you have any questions. I'm filming this like little series here before I go on my trip. So there are going to be 3 videos in this series. I'm going to just film them all back to back right now. So hopefully they will kind of make sense. But please do let me know if you have any questions down below. If if there's enough questions and things, maybe I can make a follow-up video once I get back. We'll kind of see how it goes. But yeah, I just wanted to put this out there because I feel like a lot of people have been asking about all the different types of lettering and things like that. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would really appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, you can hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!